want to adapt this New Holland style quick change to the universal quick change. So you can buy one online for like $800. There's one for $1,200. But really what it comes down to is I can make this work pretty easily. So this latch piece right here, really to be in the right spot, and I know you can move it around a little bit, but really to be in the right spot, it needs to be right where this piece of steel is right here. What I wanted to do was take this whole assembly and recess it into here and make it like one piece again, because I don't want to start over and have to fabricate this from scratch. I want to utilize this the best I can and take some weight off of it where I can, which is like these old levers, the springs, some of this truss work here. But what I determined is that no matter what I try to do, this latch piece needs to be right here, right where this is. So I can't recess it back because you can see this plate, which is on the outside of this, is almost touching that piece. So I just can't recess this back. So the only way that I can make this work and not go crazy and do like days worth of work is to take this 3x3 square stock, 1/4 inch thick. So basically all I want to do is take this assembly that I have here, which is only like $200 or maybe a little less. I'm going to put this 3x3 square stock on here like this, and then I'm going to weld it onto the existing assembly that's here like this. So basically I'm going to take this assembly like this. I'm going to take this 3x3 square stock, I'm going to put it on here right in this space right here, and when you're using this latch it doesn't hit that. I'm going to weld it right onto the edge here, and what that does is it allows it so that nothing is touching anything that's here except for this. I need to trim that down a little bit. So everything here is not touching this yet. So it'll be like kind of in front of it. So the only thing that will be touching is this piece right here. So my plan for that is to just cut a circle in here so that you can adjust that and take the bolt out or the spring out if you need to. And so it'll sit flat. I'll try to take off some more pieces of steel where I can to take off some weight, because if I can eliminate 100 pounds out of this, then that's 100 pounds more than I can lift, which doesn't really sound like a lot, but it can add up. I bought this bucket for $300 and it's got the teeth on it, which is great. Hopefully I can do a lot of stuff with this that I couldn't do with a regular bucket. think that's about what I want. Just tack weld it for now. I've had this on the job for a couple weeks now. I kind of rushed the whole process. I didn't really want to take it away before I was done, but I really needed it on the job. So I got all this welded on. So you can see I got the 3-inch square stock in there. And then what I also did was, I knew there was going to be a lot of stress on this point right here. There's like a hinge point, because there's just nothing there but 1/4-inch steel, and I knew that thing could want to go like this as I'm working it, so I just put a little piece to brace it right here. That definitely gave it some strength. I got this 3-inch channel here, and so I also put some pieces right here, and right here to just make this thing not want to go like this, because it was just hinging on this corner over here. So over here it could go in and out as it needed. So I put those on both sides here. I kind of just did it real fast. I could have done a better job, but I really needed to use the thing. So as I'm pushing on this, like if I push on it like this, it went like this a little bit, and then as I pulled on it, it went like this. And it was like putting a lot of stress on this. So then I added these pieces on the side just real quick. I just came home from a job. I just did it in like 20 minutes, and then I brought it right back because I was afraid of it breaking, because it was flexing quite a bit. So then I put these pieces on here as just kind of a temporary thing to just help it a little bit. But really, it helped, but I can still tell that it's got some flex. I watch it every time I take a big scoop, and I just noticed that it's still got a little bit of flex in it. So what I want to do today to kind of finish things up, because I have like a day to do it, I'm gonna put, because see, I can't put something all the way across, which is really what it needs, because the cylinder needs to go up to here, which means that I can't cut it until about like here. So the cylinder needs to go up to here, so I really can't cut it until after that. And so by the time I do that, I have to build this up like another 2 inches just to do that. And that's just, I just don't want to do that. So my plan, instead of doing that, is to just put a piece across the front here. And that will make this whole thing so that it won't go like this anymore. So there's no reason why I can't put it here. There's nothing that needs to be here. This is just dead space in here. So the piece that I'm going to be putting in is a 3-inch channel. So I'm going to put it like this. And then that way, not only will it help the flex this way, but it will also, it'll help support this piece from here, because this will all be solid at that point. So that'll take some of the stress off this side over here, and it'll help this area here. So another thing you may have noticed, I changed the handles on this because this is the original one. I didn't change this yet, and obviously it doesn't go down enough. It hits this piece here, so I need to do the same thing with this. Like I said, I was in a rush. I just made it functional for the time being, but now that I have a minute, I'm just going to try to make it better. So I just added this piece of metal, so now I can go all the way down, all the way up. It works good. So you can see, like, I got these pieces in here, and I put them in these places because they're not in the way of anything. So I can still get to the grease fitting. I can still get to my adjustment here. This bolt here, I can still adjust the spring. The bolt for the spring on the top, I can still adjust anything I need.
Wait, can I try?
What?
Why isn't it not working for this one?
It works. That's as far as it goes up.
Oh. Well, why can't I see the thing down? Oh. Down. Down. Oh. Now I get it.
I really don't like the way that they designed this, where there's just a piece of 1/4 inch right here. This whole thing kind of hinges on that. So I just wanted to put this piece in here to help strengthen that up. So this will help. So if it rocks back and forth, it'll really add a lot of strength to it. So I put something like that there, and then over here I got this piece so that now this whole piece is supported on both ends so it can't swivel like that. So the last thing I want to do on this, so on this bucket that I just got, I want to replace these teeth. So just to give you a comparison, this is the old tooth. There's almost nothing left of it. Here's a new one. You can see this has like 1.5 inches left. I just went to a local tractor store and they had it. It was about $100 for all 7 of these. So it's a little bit pricey, but this bucket definitely needs it. So I got a project coming up where I need to do a driveway, and there's a lot of potholes in the driveway, and I need to tear it up. You can't just put gravel over it and expect it to just last. You got to tear up all the potholes right down to the bottom of the pothole where it's compacted the most. And so I need something to rip it up. So I bought this bucket kind of specifically for that job, and I know I'm going to use it for a lot of other jobs too, but it's getting towards the end of the year, so I'm probably not going to have too many more jobs left. So to take these off, it's really kind of simple on these. There's just a pin here, and it's 2 pieces with rubber in between it. So these are the new ones that I got. Sometimes it helps to look at the new ones before you take the old ones off if you're not sure, but this is what the new ones look like. So it's just 2 pieces of steel with a piece of rubber wedged between it. So now that you know what this looks like, you can kind of know how to get it out. So I got this punch here, and you don't want to, there's like a slot right here. You don't want to put it in the slot because then it'll expand it and it won't come out. So you want to turn this to the side like this. So you want to make sure that you're not going in between and just hitting the rubber. Sometimes when you're taking an old one out, one piece will come out and not the other. And it's because the rubber is all worn out in between them. So you just... What you can do is just get one side out first. And yes, I know people say all the time I need a ball peen hammer. I know. I got safety glasses on, so I'm not really worried about it right now, but you really shouldn't do that. So actually on the bottom, and there was nothing left of it. Look at that. They wore this bucket down pretty good. There's always going to be dirt wedged in here. You want to try to get it off as best as possible. So in the past, I have welded many of these on, and I've never had one come off if you weld it hot enough. The biggest problem people have is they don't weld it hot enough. So this metal here is like 1/8 of an inch. This steel here is 1.25 inches thick. So you really got to heat it up and lay into the thicker metal and kind of let it go into the thinner metal. And yeah, it's harder to get it off once you weld it on, but it's not that hard. Like, you can take a grinder or a plasma cutter and cut it off, and each one will take you what, a minute or 2 minutes if you have to cut it off. So every couple years, if you got to go through and take an hour and take your welds off and then re-weld them, that's not that big of a deal. The problem is when these shanks get worn down with the pin in it, it just moves around all the time. A lot of times when you're digging, you'll get dirt that like shoves its way in there, and then it'll kind of hold it still, but not always. Sometimes it takes a long time, or sometimes it never happens, and then you just have a loose tooth like that always, and that's just a recipe for it coming off. And if it comes off in the middle of a job, well, then you should have welded it. And you know, So I'll judge it by how I see it. If I can put it in and it'll work, then that's fine. This one fits really tight. I like the way that this is designed. It kind of wedges itself into there. And this, I mean, it's completely tight, so I don't need to weld that. But sometimes when you get these shanks worn out too much, it's really just better to weld it. I know it's not a great idea, but it's really not that big of a deal if you need to take it off. This one's easy because it's on the outside, so you can get a swing on it. So this one, I can tell it's got a little bit of play. It's not enough for me to worry about, though. That's what happens when you use a bucket without a tooth on it. You start wearing down the shank, and then you're kind of in trouble if you let it go for too far. That's about good. So, there's all the teeth. I'm gonna cut this off right here so it's parallel to this, and that way I can put this on there. Because right now if I put it on there, it's not really at the right ideal angle. So overall, this really didn't cost too much money, and it really didn't take too much time. I think by the time I'm done, I probably have 4 hours into it, and I think these things were about $150, and then I have just miscellaneous pieces of steel that I just had laying around, and the only thing I had to buy was the 3x3 square stock over here. I paid $25 for 4 feet of it. So that's really not bad, considering the one from the store was, I think it was like almost 900 plus shipping. So you're looking at a little over $1,000 for it. So if you look at it like that, even if I had 4 hours into it, that's what, roughly $200 an hour that I'm being paid to do this, if you think about it like that. But the way I also think about it is, even if I'm only making $50 an hour, it's doing something that I like doing, and I'm getting better as I do it. So I'm getting practice. You're always pretty much learning if you have an open mind, and you're saving money. So I don't see really too much of a downfall to that. If you just buy the piece, then you just get used to that lifestyle, and that's okay for some people. And sometimes I do that too if I don't really have time, but I try to make time for things that I like to do more. So this conversion can be done to a tractor. You could easily do this almost the same way, and I might do that on the New Holland. It's sitting out there in the snow right now. If you guys think that that would be worth doing a video, maybe I'll do that this winter, because it would be nice to have a quick change on that for forks and stuff. But I chose to put this here because I think it's just better off in the middle, and I like the idea that I can take off the bucket and take off like 500 pounds in this case. This bucket probably is something like that. So I can lift a lot more, plus I can probably maneuver it a lot better if I can see it better by not having the bucket on there. So I was going to weld these onto the bucket, but I just decided I think I like this idea better. I may put one on each side here too. I'm not really sure. We'll see how it goes. I can always put more on the bucket if I want to, but right now that doesn't interfere with anything. And I think it looks better than that triangle piece sticking up. Overall, anybody could do this with pretty much a welder and a grinder. That's really all you need to do all this stuff. You don't need a plasma cutter. You don't need a fancy MIG welder. You could just use a cheap AC stick welder and be fine on this. I also was looking at the design of the one that you can just buy, and they really did the same kind of thing. I thought that they avoided having the pin in that spot, and I thought they avoided bringing it out, but they didn't. It actually does stick out just like this one. So I didn't lose any leverage by sticking it out another 3 inches, because you have to do that no matter what you do. That striker needs to be there no matter what setup you have. Even if you have a setup that's meant for this machine, that's still in the way no matter what. So I'm glad to know that now, to know that I made the right decision to just do this.